Yo, what's good, everybody, and welcome back to Interviews, the show where we take an inner look at the people, places, and things around our community that makes us great. And today, one of the greatnesses we have here. You like that word, right? Greatnesses?
Greatnesses.
You like that?
Sounds like
Can we use that in one of your poems? No, because it's not English. But yo, one of the great people we have here in our community is the Worcester Youth Poet Laureate, Mr. Adael Ace the Space God Mejia. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Interviews. We just got done talking about your dad. Well, not done. I'm sure the story goes way longer. There's way more depth we could look at there.
There's deep lore.
But unfortunately, we only have so much time. And we really want to hear about who you are.
Yes.
And in order to find out who you are, we did need to know where you came from. And, you know, you didn't have the greatest, brightest, or the worst upbringing. You know, unfortunately, you had your dad who had to leave the country. And, you know, I'm sure being raised in a single mom household had its challenges. But you overcame all of that and became the Worcester Youth Poet Laureate. How did that even happen?
It's gonna sound weird, but being at the right place at the right time. Lately, I've been studying the laws of the universe, and one of my favorite laws is the law of relativity. And the law of relativity basically just it makes sure that as long as you're working in it, as long as you're surrounding yourself in it, kind of like when you buy a new car, you see that car everywhere. I didn't believe myself to be a poet, and when I finally was like, I'm good enough, I can call myself a poet, because a poet, I grew up thinking that a poet was this super insightful being, like it's a magician of words, and that you'd have to learn English. And as I said, I came back from Ecuador almost despising English. I was like, this is horrible.
I know. I always thought poets were like super well read, super wordy people that I could never be, you know, with university degrees and stuff, you know.
So when I finally started reading it to other people. When I first started writing poetry, it wasn't poetry. It was just messages to myself about my life. As I said earlier, I've always been a quiet kid. I didn't really talk to too many people. I'm outgoing, but I'm not necessarily sociable. So I used to write to myself a lot, and this would be in very crowded rooms. I'm talking about in school, during parties, on the bus, whenever I just felt like I needed to say something but had nobody to say it to. So at first it was for me. Once that I got over that little hump, once that I finally decided that I needed to share it with somebody or with multiple people. And I think I got that because I did share it with a couple of friends, and every time I'd read my poetry, now my poetry super doop de doop de doop de doop de doop de doop. But before, I had no talent like that. I didn't have the skill set, so it was just very sad, very insightful thoughts of my feelings, and I'd make people cry.
Yeah.
I have the brightest smile. I don't make people cry. People don't look at me and cry.
Right.
So when I would read my thoughts, my words, and I saw people tear up. I was like, there's a key in there, and I'm gonna search for it. And with that key, I'm gonna open a door that is going to expose me to a world that I fantasized about. And yeah, I found that key, and when I did, I shared it with many people. I shared my talent, I shared my vice, and people were very grateful. There's this video online of a guy going, he has a sign. This is in the UK, I think, where it said on the sign, I have anxiety and depression. Please talk to me. And nobody stopped. He was on the street. Nobody stopped to talk to him. One person looked at him, like while they're walking. They didn't stop walking while they looked at him, and they went, feel better. That was kind of it. You don't feel better from anxiety or depression.
Right.
You
You just can't tell somebody to feel
don't.
better and it's just going to be magical.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great, though? I mean, how many poems would you end with feel better?
Feel better.
if that helped people who are suffering from anxiety and
Oh
depression.
my gosh.
Which is crazy.
That's what's scary about Elon's Neuralink.
Yeah.
You know, you could just tell yourself, hey, give me some serotonin. Plus 2 dopamine.
I mean,
but
that
real
would be
quick,
nice.
going back to this little UK guy. Actually, he was like 6 foot.
He's not that little.
So
Tall UK guy.
he had a sign. I have anxiety and depression. Someone please stop and talk to me. Nobody did. Nobody. He flips the sign over. On the other side of the sign said, free money.
Mm.
And it had money taped to the board. I want to say over 20 different bills, but I think each was like $5.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who saw the sign. Excuse me. Everybody who saw the sign pulled up and got some money. That being said, knowing that people were stopping for my words, I knew it was money. I knew it was more than just than anxiety and depression. I knew I held, once again, a key.
I think let's stop. Clear that out. Just take time because this is a good story. So start. I want you to start back on when he flipped the sign.
So yeah, once again, he flipped the sign over. A bunch of people came, or all the people that were passing by. This guy, they started taking money off the sign. Everybody, thank you so much. La-di-da-di-da, going about their day. Nobody stopped to talk to him when he said that he needed to talk.
Same guy, same manner
day.
of presenting himself.
Yep.
Like it's not like he was just homeless.
He just
or
flipped the
anything.
sign. That's
Just
it.
All he did was flip the sign.
He was in like a white t-shirt, clean
Literally,
white t-shirt.
he
and some
flipped the
shorts.
script.
Yep.
And the response from people around him changed.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild, huh?
Yeah.
So when you're asking for help, people are less likely to stop than when you're giving out help, huh?
Exactly.
That's wild.
Like back in middle school, there was a time that I was a little bit open about my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I was met with a lot of stop being sad. Don't be like that. Yeah.
You've been sad?
I'm always sad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bro, listen, do you know, like, a lot of the times, like, I'm around you is because I suffer from anxiety and depression myself.
Yeah.
And bipolar. However, God bless the psychiatry and having, no, seriously.
You're right.
Mental health access. You knew me before. I was a mess. And because of getting myself and taking my mental health seriously, I'm able to be this and just be much more in control of how I'd like to present myself. With that being said, this point where I'm going, I call you a lot and try to be around you just because your energy that you exude helps uplift mine. So to hear that you're sad a lot, I don't see that. And it honestly breaks my heart. I had no idea.
See, I think that's what it was. It was such a shock to a lot of people.
Yeah.
That it was almost like it sounded like a cry for attention. Like, here's this happy-go-lucky kid.
Yeah, but you get attention that way. So why would you need to
Ready?
get attention being sad? Like, that's truth.
That was the problem.
It's kind of like flipping the side.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
It's like the kids were looking at me. The parents, whoever I went to go talk to at the time, looked at me there. Oh, that's just an excuse. That's an excuse for, say, your homework.
Right.
That's an excuse for being mean that day, for saying what you said. Stop with all these excuses. Stop trying to put up this front.
Yeah.
So
Meanwhile,
what I would do,
you're going through the most important years of your life as far as growth goes and maturing and puberty changing, and you're having to do this without your dad. That's definitely have to take some kind of toll on you.
People don't see me and see that. I made sure that My hair was gelled every day. I wore the nicest cologne, the nicest shoes. I looked ready to sell you a car at 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So when people looked at me, they don't go, oh, there's that little emo kid. They went, hey, he has his life put together. I was an honors kid.
Yeah.
So
and you
whenever
were doing great as far as the perception publicly was.
Yeah, definitely. And people didn't believe me. I don't fight for people to believe me, I guess. So I wrote to myself. I strictly wrote to myself to because I believe myself.
Yeah.
I knew that
you know how you were feeling.
I knew what I was feeling was coming from something inside of me.
Right.
Not from the outside. I know my life. My life is beautiful. I'm a very fortunate kid for my circumstances. The other kids with my circumstances, they have been put under so many trying times that thankfully, because of the strength of the people who raised me, the village that I grew up in, I didn't have to see that. I'm a very lucky kid, so I knew it wasn't from the outside. It's something in here.
Internally, yeah.
So I didn't go to anybody going, please tell me what's wrong with me. I looked in myself and I tried my best. I just listened. I stopped talking and I listened, and my hand began to move, and it made me cry. Never mind, it made other people cry when they read it. It made me cry. And fast forward years later, once that I finally decided that this is a key, I flipped the switch. Instead of saying, talk to me about my depression, say, take your money, take your goods.
Right.
And now people
you were
stop.
now helping others, using your own pain to help others, because it resonates, right?
Yeah.
You know, your words have power, and I think more people can relate with pain than with joy, right? It's a sad fact about life is that we all go through so many traumatic situations, a lot of which we don't even acknowledge or address, you know? So when you hear somebody else speaking those words, you're like, I'm not alone.
Yep.
You know, and this guy's speaking how I've been thinking for so long, and it's almost like a release. So I think those tears are more of like, wow, somebody finally gets it. And on top of that, how bad does it suck that now I know that you went through the same pain I did, and I know how it feels. So now I feel bad for you as well. You know what I mean? Not that that's what you're looking for, but I could just see how people get that emotional reaction to your words.
Yeah, no, definitely. I search for realism. I search for the truth. I don't think I've ever gotten advice from somebody that's been completely content in their life that has affected me the way that I've gotten advice from, let's say, the miserable, the people that hurt within themselves. I think that the advice that I've gotten from people like that have truly changed my life. Growing up around that also.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm sure I think with all of us, especially in the creative fields, I think creativity is a great outlet, and it helps us to heal from within. What are your thoughts on that?
When a lot of people think because I'm a poet, I read Shakespeare, and Edgar Allan Poe, Ray Bradbury, Maya Angelou.
Bro, that's so. All right, I was gonna say this so boring, but Maya Angelou's dope.
Honestly, yeah.
I think Shakespeare is only boring to me because I don't get the English. Bro, I barely get American English.
Yeah. It's not even about if it's boring, because honestly, some of my favorite poetry is from back then, from those times.
Yeah, but it's all on the delivery too. Because reading Shakespeare, like, come on, I think Macbeth is a very well known. What is it? Sonnet? Do I have the right word?
Macbeth, that's a play. It's a play. Screenplay.
I was trying to act like I was so smart for a second, but that's why I have you here to correct me.
I was about to say that's my field. I work in the theater. Yeah.
So reading it is so much different than watching the play. Am I right? Like, I enjoy Macbeth. I really do. Especially when it's put on by like high school or college level kids.
Yeah.
Hollywood productions, not so much, but actual screenplay. I mean, not screenplay. Sorry, stage plays. I like Macbeth.
You know what it is
but
about
reading it, I'm like, bro.
You know what it
I can't
is
get through
about
this.
Macbeth that I could tell you why you rather see it from the younger perspective. Shakespeare, a lot of his writings are actually for amateur performers, for amateur
really?
actors. Yeah.
Well, it makes sense now why they teach it so much in high school then.
His characters are meant to be naive. What Shakespeare is he's a genius at conflict.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sorry, but if you wake up at 5 a.m., if you go to the gym for 6 a.m., if you go to work straight after, have this super busy training resume, you don't know conflict. You don't. If you go to school, deal with bullying, have parents who don't necessarily love you but have to care for you, you know Shakespeare. You are able to understand it so much better and act it out because that's how it's supposed to be performed, naively.
Okay. Is it the relativity as well? Like, you're able to relate to the context, or is it just because, like you said, you're very naive and, you know, in the most positive sense of the word, immature, you know, and still trying to figure out life. So you have that natural and genuine naivete. Is that the word?
Yeah,
Naivete.
I'd say I wander about through life with my heart open and my eyes closed.
Word.
I'm here for the experience. I just love to do what I do. I love to create. I've worked pretty much every job in the books. I've done construction, fast food. I've sold like different products. I used to work out in Ecuador, selling sodas and stuff. Over here, I used to work at Polar Park during the nighttime cleanup crew. That was actually one of my favorite. Like I always said, if I was to just drop out of college, I just clean that stadium every night of my life. That stadium's beautiful. But that being said, I've worked a lot of jobs. I'm not happy if I'm not creating.
Word.
I'm not happy if I'm not meeting people. I dread my job if I'm going in knowing that what I'm doing today, I did yesterday, the day before that, the day before that. I can't. It's not a part of me. Going back to what you said about creativity and poets. I never really. It wasn't that I didn't like Shakespeare or Maya Angelou or those heads. It was that I didn't resonate with them. I didn't necessarily relate because I didn't understand. Now I can definitely break down with a whole analysis of a line of Shakespeare because he's so in depth. His words, he plays with words like they're chemistry. I was not able to relate with that as a middle schooler who hated chemistry.
Right.
So,
and maybe that's exactly what maybe I need to revisit it because I was young when I was introduced to Shakespeare, and then I never went back. I was like, I'm all set. But maybe now that I'm older with a different mindset and a different set of experience and knowledge of the context, you know, things like that, it might be a different experience for me. Who knows?
It is.
But for right now, we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about your experience and how you got where you are today here on Interviews with my man, Adael Ace the Space Godman here. We'll be right back.